darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
खुशबू लुटा दे कहाँ खुली या खुली जुल्फ बता दे अब उसका पता दे जरा मुझको बता दे मैं उससे मिलूंगा एक बार मिला दे.
Strats like that as well, you know, with putting 3 squeaky, 2 towards B and stuff like that. So we'll have to see what they do. Looks like just one utility set here for YB as they start moving towards the B-bomb site.
I would have to imagine that OpTic are going to go for something a little bit thought-provoking here at the very least. That's just tended to be their play style throughout, not just the pistols, but in the gun rounds and stuff as well. So I'd be surprised if they did anything pretty crazy like just rushing into the bomb site. And again, obviously they've just set themselves up here waiting default to potentially see any push out from Revolution on the B bomb site. Not going to be the case here at the moment, but a bit of a peek into mid will net a little bit of damage out for YB there. Looks like he must have got a bink over onto T. No, that was up on the A bomb site. So that was from Marzil. Damage onto Crazy Guy was from mid, but good start for Rambutan. He's really been shaping up nicely for Revolution here on Cache. And a hole in the smoke. Got a bit of info off that, sees how many players do manage to cross, but now he is starting to be collapsed upon by those blocks. And a good flashbang in will net the kill for Antidote.
Yeah, it's interesting that they the T's chose to use their smoke there to progression smoke to B main there instead of using it to cross CT. But in the end, it nets them the kill on the CT player with a great flashbang there from YB. We'll have to see how the CTs approach this retake here.
Making a bit of noise in A main, but a lot of utility being thrown onto the bomb site. Fog has been flashed out. That's unfortunate. Antidote, another big kill from him, and just players walking into his crosshair. He's going to get 5 kills in the round. It's an ace on the pistol for Antidote.
That is a crazy round there. As you said earlier, playing retakes sometimes, you know, you're just locked out of the round, and Antidote does so well there to kill the 2 players coming in headshot and just cleans up on the rest of them.
8 apiece. OpTic India, good start to the second half. Revolution will force buy through into the round. Pistol armor as expected. This feels like a pretty standard Cache game to me, to be honest. Always backwards and forwards. You think one team's got an advantage in the first half, and then their economy gets broken, and then it inevitably ends 8-7.
Yeah, I mean, CS recently has definitely been just such a big economy game. You know, as much damage as you can get done on these eco rounds, it all counts forward. You know, going to gun rounds, they might have less utility, and you have more utility because you've gotten those kills. So it really is just about finding, you know, 3. If you can find 3 or 4 frags, that's huge.
Well, that's a nice little push from T, but his position, of course, very, very well known by OpTic India at the moment. And seeing a few kills go the way of the CZ, some guns in the hands, but unfortunately for Revolution, it's just the UMP and the MP5. The AKs haven't been dropped over by OpTic India. That would be the real opening into the round for Revolution. I don't think with these 2 weapons they're going to be able to make much of a comeback here against their opponents with the head armor, and of course, they will not.
Definitely not, but it was good. They were using flashbangs very well there to just find a couple of kills. You know, the door player was super dangerous. Unfortunately, he, I think, did get dinked pretty early and then had to wrap around A main. So could have been a different round in a different day, but unfortunately they do lose that one. So it's just going to be the full USP buy here. OpTic India looking pretty good on their T side so far.
Well, should be a bit of an easier round this time for OpTic India. USP's only. Haven does get caught off, though he does get a 1-for-1 at the very least. It's only the UMP loss, that's why he's the one over there on his own. It's not a big loss for OpTic India, so they'll be okay with how things have gone so far. They'll be wanting to upgrade that gun in the next round anyway. And Jason, if he takes it through, yes, you can make use of it on the CT side, but it's definitely not a gun that really should be having too much of an impact. No,
he definitely should be looking for a few exits here. With the UMP, you can get a little bit of cash if you get a couple of kills, so that'll help them buy in the next round, but it looks like he is just going to keep a hold of it on the B side here. Hopefully the T's don't choose to push him because, you know, they've all got AKs. They don't really need to get this UMP out of his hands. It's just going to benefit him, if anything.
Yeah, this is a pretty aggressive line being held by Forsaken. now that he has spotted it. He's gonna just push on forward. Good shot. In the end, works out well for OpTic India. They won't allow the UMP to go through, won't allow the UMP to build up too much economy for Revolution at all. 10-8 as the first gun round does come out here in the second half. And by the looks of things, it's not going to be a great one for Revolution. I mean, he's still a bit lacking, but a decent amount of utility across the majority of the members.
Yeah, and they've made these buys work before on Inferno, so we definitely know this team can, you know, pull a rabbit out of the hat and win rounds that, you know, potentially they shouldn't be. But 2 quick kills there.
Maybe a third quick kill here as well. Crazy Guy will just set himself and gets the kill in mid. Very nice stuff from Revolution. A little bit of a change of pace from OpTic India, but it doesn't catch them off guard at all.
No, I think they were just running out of the mid-main smoke with a flashbang there, which Revolution have been pretty ready for these contact plays so far in this series. So it's an interesting choice for them to do that, but you know, a change of pace like that can often destroy other teams on first gun rounds and really just gets in their head.
Round's not over just yet, though, for OpTic India. Back to a 2v3. With Crazy Guy being so low on HP, this is still winnable. So OpTic India will make their way in toward the B bomb side, especially if they knock this player over. And that really opens things up in this round for the T side. Jason, he needs to find at least the one here. Can't go down 4-3, but he will. Forsaken gets that kill. Bomb plant should be pretty straightforward here. Crazy Guy pushing through the smoke. That's very cheeky. He'll deny the bomb plant. It wasn't being covered properly, and Crazy Guy, well, true to his name, pushing through the smoke and finds a couple of kills. 4 in the round for him, and that is pretty insane.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate there for OpTic India. You can't help but feel like they really earned their way back into that round, but the push through CT there is a little bit random. Really, like a super risky play there from Crazy Guy, but in the end it pays off. So looks like we have a bit of a pause here.
Technical.
Say it's a technical pause.
Yeah.
Fortunately, cannot be helped. These LAN events.
Yeah, it is what it is. They've actually had to call a tactical pause, but I'm sure that'll be getting sorted out in a moment. OpTic India, though, not sure exactly what the issue is for them, but yeah, that last round, I actually felt like they were going to win it once they got it into the 2v2. But I don't know, whoever it was that was covering and throwing the Molotov up into heaven just didn't spot Crazy Guy coming through the smoke from tree room.
Yeah, he felt like he had to go back and cover the vents since they knew that they just left mid, and Revolution definitely could have regressed and been coming through the vent. But, you know, just bad timing, and Crazy Guy making what was a pretty crazy play, and, you know, in the end it wins the team, wins his team the round.
I think they needed the admin to unpause it for them.
Yeah, it looks like we're just waiting.
I always love that, like how you go to a different event and there always seems to be a different kind of a config or like a way of pausing.
Yeah.
And like, it's just so funny watching people try to figure it out.
There's always different rules about it as well, like how you should call the tac pause. Like some events do it, you go to into the menu and call a vote, and then other ones just you type .pause, and it gets so confusing when, you know, you're going all these different events and you kind of just forget. This one, I think the admin has just forced the pause and then has now
disappeared.
Forgotten.
That's all right. More time for the Liam and Jordan podcast.
Yeah, Liam and Jordan podcast, guys. Welcome.
Welcome to the podcast. On today's podcast, we're talking all things Counter-Strike here in the ANZ region.
That's just a bit of a teaser. Oh.
Smooth summer of 2018. It's not summer yet.
You definitely have a radio voice.
Yeah, I was trying to put it on a little bit there. I think we could do it.
Yeah, probably. Probably have enough time.
Bit of content.
Bit of content, yeah. We need to get some guests on.
Yeah. Well, you're the guest right now. Like, this is my normal job.
That's true. So this is your pod. So it's not really
my podcast. This is the Jordan Mays podcast.
The Jordan Mays podcast.
Welcome everyone to the Jordan Mays podcast. Today on our show, we've got Liam Maltashembri, the secondary AWPer for Greyhound and one of the newer members of the roster. But saying that, he's been around for a little while. How are you feeling today, Malta?
Oh, it's great to be here, Jordan. Yeah, really enjoyed my time so far.
Yeah. First time casting.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been good fun. You know, it's nice to have a man like you at my side, running me through it. What about yourself?
It's been a good day.
Been a good day?
Yep.
That's good.
Not sure about these pauses, but look, it is what it is, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing we can do about it, and nothing the players can do about it. Just seems like something must have happened on the admin's end and
fallen asleep.
Yeah, maybe you just fell asleep.
Been some long days at Extremes Land. Yesterday was a fairly long one, 9.5 hours or so, 10 hours. I guess for the admins and stuff, it would have been even longer. So
Definitely.
can't blame them.
Can't blame the guy. Who doesn't want to just get a bit of sleep?
I've always thought it must be so great being a player. Literally, all you do is you go, you play one game a day, and then you're done.
Man, I have to set up keyboard, mouse.
Oh no,
Mate, don't. And what about
about?
when I have to set up my my resolution, my custom resolution, and it doesn't work on the computers, and
Can't
it's
you just like plug in your USB and it does it for you?
oh, I wish. Not allowed USBs, mate.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust you with a USB either.
That's quite rude.
Mhm.
Yeah, no. Being a player is very easy, and I'm sure adminning behind the scenes is quite difficult.
I'm so
But-
confused now because they've said they're ready, and then also they've said they're not ready. So
Yeah, this seems like a bit of a mess. I think they must have been having an issue with one of the computers or TeamSpeak or something like that that just fixed itself, and then now
it hasn't fixed itself.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
come back. Who knows? Unfortunately, that is the life of an esports player.
know. Oh
that
yeah,
you are at the liberty of the computer, and sometimes it doesn't like to work.
indeed. What's the worst ever LAN computer you've had?
Like, as in,
Like, don't name names, right? But like, give me the situation.
well, I've never had a bad experience with an ESL, computer. ESL, beautiful, great company.
Pandering.
But I'm not sure. I think we've played on laptops before, and like obviously when
Oh.
they overheat, you're getting
Yeah.
bad frames and not the best. But I'm not going to name and shame. We have had a few where you're getting 120 frames and you're playing on a 144 Hz monitor and
Feels a bit choppy.
feels a little bit choppy. I'm sure as everyone at home who has a 144 Hz monitor knows,
Yep.
when you do get low FPS, it does make
Actually,
you want
I've
to cry.
still got a 120 Hertz monitor.
I never understood one. Like, that seems like a really... Like, I know they've gone 60, double at 120, but it does seem...
Why does 144 Hertz make more sense than 120?
I'm not sure. I think maybe just because it's more, like, widespread now. Like, that's just the
Well,
norm.
the thing is, like, 120 Hertz was the thing, right? And then they brought out the 144.
Back when...
120 Hertz was like a thing for like 2 years.
Yeah, I was probably too young for that.
Yeah.
I had a 60 Hz monitor for so long because I didn't believe that 144 was any better.
Right.
And then
yeah.
now I am the biggest advocate.
No, like, it
the
was obviously
240.
everyone was playing on 60 Hertz for like forever.
Yeah.
Most games didn't even run at 60 FPS. But then like 120 came out and everyone was like, okay, you need a 120 Hertz monitor. And then 144 came out and there was the whole thing of like, you don't really need to upgrade from 120 to 144. But then like now 240 Hertz is coming out as well. So
And
like
you need
that-
the 240.
you need the 240. I haven't got one yet, but I'm hoping to get one sooner or later.
Yeah, well, they are great.
They're expensive though.
Very expensive for what they are, but also they're amazing. So I think they really help. Like, I think as a player, one of my players recently, Dexter, got a new one, and he has been playing. Like, he was using his 240 Hz monitor, and unfortunately he had set it to just 144 Hz.
Yeah,
And
that's
played on
always a
that
noob
for a
move.
week. Yeah, I mean, idiot. But when he swapped it to 240 Hz, he started playing quite well. And he
Wow,
was
imagine that.
every kill he got, he was like, ooh, 240 Hz.
It's like sandbagging, right? Where you have to like run with like extra weights, or
Yeah.
you run on sand or something, and then you actually play. There is a bit of a problem with Forsaken's computer, I'm told, so it should be about 5 or 10 minutes, which is okay with me, to be honest. We're having a good chat, having a
Yeah.
good time.
The podcast is going well.
Podcast
I'm
is
pretty
going well.
proud of this first episode.
Yep.
Hoping we can, take it from just the Jordan Mays podcast,
Mm.
and maybe I can get my name in subtext somewhere.
Maze
but
Shembry.
Mays Shembry, yeah. I
Maybe
mean,
we
that kind of sounds like we're
You know,
married.
I actually had a professor at university with the last name Shembry. What's your
Hmm.
dad's name?
I don't know if
Does
I
it-
can reveal that
Does it
on
start? What letters does it start with?
G
Okay, it definitely wasn't him.
or or J. Because if you haven't seen it written, then it might start with a J.
No, it doesn't start with J.
Okay.
It definitely doesn't start with. His name
Alright.
his name started with a P. So yeah, it was
Hmm.
interesting.
Interesting.
I was like,
It's a
that
rare name.
wouldn't really be very likely because I know you're not from Brisbane, and my university was in Brisbane.
Oh,
But
yes.
would have been quite funny.
no. I mean,
It's not
Shembry's.
a particularly common last name.
But surprisingly, I get a lot of people being like, "Oh, like, is this your cousin?" And I'm like,
No.
Like, there are
There are other.
a few
Shembrys.
Shembrys.
Yeah.
The Maltese have spread
It's the same
themselves
like
out.
me. Like my last name's not that common, but
You still find
I still, you
yourself
still
getting
find
asked.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that was an interesting time at university.
Yeah, I should probably finish my degree at some point.
Yeah, that would definitely be a good idea.
It's a good thing to get done, but you know, Counter-Strike does come first, and the grind never stops.
Yeah.
So you really, I just
I
haven't
think
had
I
the
was
time.
lucky in the sense that I got into esports like kind of at the time when my university degree was starting to finish. So I was able to finish it and then sort of go straight into esports instead of have to put it off, which
Yeah.
I don't know how my parents would have felt about that. I'm not sure your parents would have been particularly keen.
Depends which one you ask. Deb is very happy that I'm following my dreams. Jeffrey, which is why I said it might start with a G or a J.
Yep, yeah, true.
So sorry, Jeff, let your name go on stream.
Yep.
Jeff was a little bit questioned my decision. But you know, I think he's kind of seen now that Counter-Strike is quite legit, and I've traveled the world playing a computer game, which is kind of, you know, he's a gamer.
Yeah.
He brought me up as a gamer.
Yeah.
It's his dream, so I think he's kind of
That's pretty cool.
proud of me that.
It was so relatively supportive from your side of things, at least.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not the worst
Oh yeah.
reaction that I've heard. A lot of parents are somewhat not supportive of.
What's your advice to like an up and coming player that, like, let's say they have parents that don't necessarily agree with it? How do you convince them?
I mean, you have to listen to your parents as well, like, because they just want to do what's best for you. Like, they're trying to make you. It really depends. Like, for example, if I started this when I was in high school, I'm certain my parents would have been like, "All right, we need to stop this. You need to finish your high school." But since like I was at high school and I was then at like finished high school and doing well at uni, they were kind of okay with it. And then once they saw that I could kind of explore the world a little bit and not have to pay for it and play computer games, they were like, "Hey, that's pretty cool."
That's pretty cool. Do they kind of like follow along? Like, do they like follow you on social media, have a look around and see what's going on, or are they pretty hands off?
Pretty like dad will often send me a little message in our little we got a family WhatsApp group, and
that's cool.
Jeff will send a message through and be like, "Oh, nice nice game there." He gets all the terminology wrong because I haven't taught him, so he'll be like, he thinks that the rounds in Counter-Strike are called games, so like he'll be like, "Man, game 12, like."
That's a lot of games.
You idiot, Jeff. But yeah, he'll be like, "Yeah, you made him. You shouldn't have picked there." And I'll be like,
"You don't even know. You don't even play this game."
Oh, Dad, you meant to tell me that I did well. Yeah. But I think he watches it on the train home from work. He kind of just, if there's a game on, he'll
pretty cool.
chuck it on. Yeah, which is, you know, it's nice to have that kind of support. But, you know, he also does play soccer, and I used to go and watch all his soccer games when I was a kid, so he actually owes me, right?
He does, yeah, I agree.
Watching those games.
Well, I was a little bit different
great.
because I never watched any of my dad's games. Like, he stopped playing. Like, I was playing cricket when I was a kid. My dad used to play cricket when he was a kid, but obviously I could never watch that. So I feel like I probably owe him, but there's nothing really that he does that you would watch.
Get him into sport, mate. Jeff's almost a 60. He's almost a senior, and he's playing soccer. So
yeah, my dad's a little bit over 60.
Yeah, he could play some cricket.
I'm sure he could. I'm sure he'd do pretty well.
You just maybe you could do a nice little duo league with him. Go and join a team together.
Well, it's a little bit hard because he lives in Brisbane. I live in Sydney.
Yep.
But
that actually is pretty hard.
My parents pretty supportive. They like to watch me doing some of the casting. Been trying to get them down to the IAM Sydney a couple of years in a row. Didn't quite make it last time, which was disappointing because casting in the arena would have been great for them to have a look at it. But no family,
so cool.
2 years in a row. Going to have to do it next year, I'm sure, if there is IAM Sydney.
Yeah, don't want to let anything slip.
Wouldn't want to let anything
hopefully, hopefully. I mean, with the way that it's gone the past 2 years, I can't imagine them not wanting to do it again. The crowd reaction, you know, obviously all the support from everyone in Australia, I guess. Yeah. Everyone coming out for it.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, you make Katowice a major. Why not make IAM Sydney a major?
Honestly,
you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, yeah.
Sydney's a pretty good place.
Yeah, I agree. IAM Sydney we've had one of the best crowds, arguably. I would say.
I think Katowice is a pretty good crowd, though. It always has. Yeah. I mean, have you ever played at Katowice?
No, I've only played there for an ESEA event, which didn't have a crowd. But the studios themselves there are really nice, like the ESL studios there, and I mean the atmosphere in Katowice is like such a I always mispronounce that city, but it's such a nice place, and I imagine, and from what I've heard, the tournament there is like crazy.
Someone's dropped their knife, Malta.
That's unfortunate. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, I was looking at that thinking, how's that happen? He must have disconnected holding the knife, or?
I think it's a server command you can put in, CL_drop knife or something like that, which came out. Yeah, it's been in the game for a little bit, but usually you have it turned to 0 because it's just annoying if you're like dropping guns and then.
So then you just run around with nothing.
Yeah.
Like you just have hands out, or?
No, I think you just like it's like Quake, but you can't shoot.
Yeah. Funny.
Interesting.
Yeah, but okay, yeah. So Katowice, like I was there for this year's Katowice, not casting Counter-Strike. I was casting something else.
Mm.
But I was able to take a peek into the arena on one match. And I got to see like 3 rounds. I think it was Fnatic and Navi, might have been. I don't even know if Fnatic and Navi played against each other, but I do remember it was Fnatic. I can't remember who they were playing against. But yeah, it was pretty cool. There was a lot of people there. Like when you look at IEM Sydney and you go in the crowd, you're like, okay, there's a lot of people here. But then Katowice was like, holy moly, there's a lot of people here. Like
Really? More than Sydney?
Oh yeah, heaps more.
Oh.
The stadium was massive, man. It was like double the size of IEM Sydney. It felt
Damn.
like.
Because IEM Sydney was pretty. Like I feel like both years in a row, I was pleasantly surprised by the amount of people there.
IEM Sydney has a pretty good turnout, that is for sure. But compared to Katowice, yeah. I think the difference is though, for Katowice you can get into for free. So there is that.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Oh, that is, well, I mean, that's cheating.
Yeah.
If we made a free event, come on.
I think it's part of the deal with like the venue.
Okay.
So obviously they keep going back to the same venue, but then they get that many people in and whatever. I think the city actually has something to do with it as well. I'm not really sure, to be honest, on the specifics. But yeah, to my understanding, you can buy tickets that like allow you to go in like first and stuff, and so you can always get a seat and you can always get a good seat. But then they kind of open it up, like you can come in for free from like, let's say you go in at 9:30 as a ticket buyer.
Yeah.
Then from 10 o'clock, the free tickets can kind of go in and sit wherever.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's definitely how it should work. You kind of want it to be accessible to just like the general public and everyone. So then also people who aren't into esports, you know, like for example, if I'm like, hey mum, like I want to go to this event, it's free, do you want to come? And then your parents or your friends, they say, well, there's no risk in, you know, if they have to pay $150 to, it's a bit of, you know, there's a risk
it's a bit
there.
of risk. But on the same token, like there would be then the expectation in some places that you could actually sell out the place anyway. Like for example, IEM Sydney sells very, very well.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you were to say, okay, well you can get in for free, like 50% or maybe even more, people would just say, look, we'll come in late. And there goes a big chunk of your income.
Oh, definitely from the organizer's point of view, it's not the smart way, but from
it depends on where it is.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Australia, I think the Australian public has a lot, like, on average, has quite a large disposable income to spend on
compared to a lot of other places. For sure.
So lots of money just waiting to be spent on stuff, which
sports.
On esports.
But then even like for example, IEM Shanghai is an even different ballgame because that's in an expo as well.
Yeah,
so like I guess you must pay to get into the expo, and then you can just watch IEM Shanghai.
It's a weird setting because. Like, to have a tournament in an expo, I've played at one before, and it's a lot of people who aren't there, like, specifically for Counter-Strike, and that's what's so beautiful about IEM Sydney is that, or, like, because that's the only IEM that I've attended, apart from Shanghai, is you're there with all these people who all have a similar interest, which is Counter-Strike, and they're all there to watch the Counter-Strike, whereas if you're at an expo like that, it's a lot of people who, you get a lot of exposure to people who aren't from Counter-Strike who don't know what Counter-Strike is.
Yeah.
So you might be able to discover some new, or like people might discover Counter-Strike who previously haven't. But at the same time, it's very strange.
Yeah, for me, like going around IEM Sydney is a pretty weird experience because it feels like if I walk around in public, like no one knows who I am. But if I walk around at IEM Sydney,
you're famous.
I feel like 50% of the people know who I am, and then start coming up to me and going, "Oh, hi, how you going?" Like I'm like, I don't even know you. It's a very, very weird experience. I'm sure you probably get the same, to be honest.
Oh man, it's like the best 2-3 days of my life.
Yeah.
I just walk around and I'm like, "Oh Liam, what's up, dude?" And I'm like, "Oh hey, what's up, man?"
You feel like a superstar.
They ask for a signature, sign some stuff, and yeah, you feel like a celebrity for those 3 days, and then you go back to being normal afterwards, which is nice.
To be fair, it's probably the ideal world. You wouldn't want to be a celebrity all the time.
No, can you imagine?
It gets old, I'm sure.
Wow, like the amount of people who just like actors and stuff. I mean, can you imagine? Let alone like paparazzi.
You wouldn't be able to go outside. I reckon being an esports celebrity is probably one of the best ways. Like, because when you're at your events and when you're there in the context of your job, then people know who you are. But like, let's be honest. Like walking around the street, no one knows who like. You know, like let's say, I mean, not 90% people wouldn't know who like Olaf Meister or Nico is walking around on the street. Unless they're a Counter-Strike fan, but how many Counter-Strike fans are there? So realistically, you're not going to get recognized on the street as a pro player or something like that. I don't think.
Yeah, no, probably not.
Like, it would happen, but it would definitely not happen to the same frequency as, like, Brad Pitt or, like, Will Smith or something.
No, I think it would happen just enough
for it to be kind of cool?
Yeah, for it to be cool, and then, but not enough for you to just get frustrated and be like, all right, like, you know,
Yeah.
as much as you like want to interact with your fans as much as possible, if you're out buying a coffee and
Oh, I can
you
see
get
why it would get
swarmed,
annoying for
yeah.
sure.
I mean, this is I mean, we're talking Hollywood actor level here. Like, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio goes to buy a bagel and just 30 people, like all these paparazzi trying to take photos of him. They're all trying to just make money off, you know, you embarrassing yourself somehow in a photo.
Yeah, definitely wouldn't be too fun. All right, guys, look, we've been having some fun here, just having a chat, doing the Liam and Jordan podcast, but unfortunately it does look like these issues are going to take a little bit longer to fix than anticipated. So we're going to throw to a break. Don't go anywhere. The game will be back as soon as possible.
Beautiful headshots and one slightly less beautiful kill. Happy earned himself a